It doesn't have contradictions. Can you name one contradiction within
Yeah,
the
I
Surah
just
and the
gave the
Quran?
contradiction. The contradiction is saying that Allah created
No, I'm
time
saying
when you
like
cannot create
I'm
time.
saying yeah, okay. It's not just a statement. I'm talking about a surah, like a contradictory surah, because all statements are
What is
derived off
that?
of surah. A surah? You know what's a
Yeah,
surah?
what's that? No.
So a surah is basically like a scripture in the Quran or sacred scripture of Islam.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
basically.
does that, bro? Okay, wherever it states that Allah created time, that's a contradiction.
Okay, you want me to like prove that in the Quran there's no contradictions necessarily?
No, bro. You're not getting it. If it stated, which you agree, that Allah created time, that would be a contradiction. And unless you can debunk that, then it would be a contradiction, no matter what.
Yeah, okay, but necessarily I explained that time is a contingent and natural concept. So necessarily how like that
Wait,
would
what do you mean a
entail a
contingent and natural concept?
okay, so you see time as a concept and axis is within the natural world and the physical world, right? That's what I mean
Yeah.
by being a naturalistic concept.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so God is external to the natural world, which is
Oh,
why
so he's external to physicality?
yeah, he's external to physicality. He's
Okay.
external. Yeah, so basically,
Oh,
like
okay.
for all like contingent things to exist, an eternal being needs to exist because if there's no eternal being, then that would indicate like infinite
Wait.
regression of causes, which means you wouldn't be in like the present place. So an eternal being that is external, like upon all, well, not external upon all, but like external above all contingent concepts and contingent things, needs to exist in order for like these said things to exist. So it's not like
Yeah.
contradictory that Allah created time.
So you said he's outside of physicality, right? Meaning he's aspatially temporal.
Especially atemporal. No, that's not the doctrine that what like the
But
Quran
if he's
uses
outside of
Allah.
physicality, then he's outside of space then and time. Meaning he's aspatially temporal. Because that's what that
Necessarily like
means. It is.
if
That's literally
you're
what it means.
yeah, but if you're especially atemporal, are you like do you possess all necessary attributes including greatness?
Does he put? I don't know. I'm just asking you. Like, does he have the properties being aspatially temporal? And you said he's outside of the physical realm, meaning he's outside of space and time. Which aspatial means
Yes.
no space,
Yeah,
and
sure, but
atemporal
like
means
are
no
you
time.
yeah, sure. Yeah, sure you can say like he's aspatial atemporal, but like I'm saying
Oh, so
like
he can't do
are you
anything.
valid no. I'm saying are you validating that aspatial atemporal in this sense would basically just mean that he's abstract and like cannot do anything?
Yeah, I think that being aspatially temporal means you can't do anything or make like do any actions or have any
Yeah,
decisions.
okay, so in that sense, no, it's not the case because going
So
by
he's
its
not outside of
definition,
the physical realm, like you
no,
just said.
okay, oh my god. Okay, so first off, as I brought up, right, metaphysical change in this case can exist. So
No, I don't
like
think metaphysical
fluidness.
change can exist.
Okay, why would that be the case?
Okay, because I would be saying that something aspatially temporal can change, which you already agreed earlier cannot.
Yeah, but like okay, so that's upon a logical said system or like upon a logical
Yeah, do you
possibility,
not believe in the
metaphysical
laws of logic?
possibility. No, I believe in the laws of logic, but I'm just simply putting a distinction between a metaphysical possibility and a logical possibility.
Yeah, I don't think that anything, no matter what, can go outside of the laws of logic. I don't think that logical contradictions can occur no matter what. So it doesn't matter what kind of possibility you place on it. I think that if it doesn't follow the laws of logic, it's impossible.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? So,
I can explain why if you want.
no, like yeah, I already know your argument, right? So first off, just to like describe like why this kind of follows my point. So first off, in the Tawheed, right? If you want,
Mhm.
I'll just like bring it up real quick. So, in the Tawheed, it basically just refers to like the oneness of God and shit, and the oneness of His deity, the oneness of His names and attributes. That's basically it, right? And He is not a unity, nor composed of, nor like anything, right? So when I say he's aspatial and atemporal, that's basically going against like the Tawheed. Now you might say, oh, that's like you contradicted yourself and shit. Well, no, because I'm not saying he's composed of aspatial atemporal things or properties. I'm saying these said aspatial and atemporal things are mainly his attributes, right? So necessarily creating time would still be a part of metaphysical change because that already indicates
No,
what God is
yeah,
by
but that
definition.
presupposes that metaphysical change can even exist. Like, can't.
No, it's already entailed through the Tawheed.
No. But I'm saying that, like, okay, you're saying metaphysical change is entailed via that, whatever you said.
Yeah, the Tawheed, which is just the
Yeah,
doctrine of Allah.
yeah. But if metaphysical change is impossible, then that debunks the thought heathen or whatever it's called.
If metaphysical, wait, you said metaphysical change like isn't possible or is possible?
If it's impossible, meaning it cannot happen, then that's against the thought heathen.
Yeah, okay, sure, I agree on that. But like, where's the evidence that in this case it is impossible?
Yeah, yeah. So, do you want me to explain why everything has to follow the laws of logic?
I mean, you can explain that, but I don't know how like that kind of refutes that necessarily Allah is not composed of, but rather having
No,
attributes of these
I
said
can
things.
explain to you. I can explain to you. So, if I prove that the laws of logic, everything has to go under the laws of logic, that means that metaphysical change cannot exist, and that means that the thought heaven is false, and that means that God cannot create time or Allah, whatever. So it's
Okay,
just entailed.
so necessarily, I'm not like when I put a distinction between a metaphysical possibility and a logical possibility, I'm not putting a distinction between what they follow up on. So a metaphysical possibility can still fall on said the laws of logic and logical things because they're just like intrinsic principles that exist outside of our mind, right? Now get this, since they're intrinsic principles and possibilities and changes that exist outside of their mind, that does not imply a actual contradiction, but because since they're outside of our mind, that would entail that God creating time, which being an action, is already outside of our mind,
Wait.
so that would entail a metaphysical possibility. If a metaphysical possibility is entailed and there's no actual further implied contradiction, that would necessarily mean that it's a metaphysical possibility and there's no actual contradiction or trivialistic terms.
No, I'm saying okay. What I'm saying is that metaphysical change in specific would be logically impossible.
Yeah,
That
okay.
specific
Yeah,
thing.
okay. So a logical, yeah, okay. So a logical possibility, yeah, logical possibility is like, for example, an identity like being two things at once. That's an example of
No,
that. So I don't see how.
it's being true and false at this, like a proposition being true and false at the same time.
Yeah, and a property being something else and another thing at the same time would also be the same. But I'm saying how like that would follow up to a metaphysical possibility because a metaphysical possibility doesn't have two or no propositions.
No. I'm saying that it would be a logical impossibility to say that, like, okay, you can say it's metaphysically possible that metaphysical change can occur, but I think that just wouldn't be able to occur at all. And I think that it being a metaphysical possibility doesn't mean anything because it can never actually happen ever in any possible world. Because I don't think that anything outside of the laws of logic can happen.
Okay, so necessarily, when we take into account on this, metaphysical, metaphysical, worlds, like they kind of do exist necessarily. I'll just like
Maybe
give
some
the
can.
doctrine on that. Yeah, so I'll just give the doctrine. So necessarily, metaphysics and metaphysical things, they just inherent a like universal elements of reality, so which are basically not discovered or experienced in our everyday life. That's what we basically mean. That's why metaphysics is basically a study or doctrine that is viewed to be outside of our
Uh,
mind, right?
I'm
Necessarily.
not
So
trying to debunk metaphysics, right? I'm just trying to debunk that a certain thing, which is metaphysical
yeah,
change.
yeah, I know about that, but I'm saying like in these said metaphysical worlds, they can exist in some sense under a set
No, they
logical system. Well, not under a set logical system, but just under logic itself. So if
no, they
universal
can.
elements of like reality, basically, that would basically just mean that metaphysics um would necessarily not only just represent something, but have universal elements of higher properties. So, for example, if we were to say that there is a metaphysical Earth, then that would just represents the consciousness of the said physical body, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how does anything you just said actually refute the fact that it's a logical impossibility that metaphysical change can occur? You're just explaining like what metaphysics
No,
is.
no, I'm not. I'm not necessarily explaining what metaphysics is. I said there is metaphysical worlds where that would exist metaphysical possibilities.
There can be metaphysical possibilities that do exist, but also some that don't. Like, okay, so like I can make a modal scope, right? And say,
Yeah.
under my modal scope, it is possible that dogs exist, and that would be a logical possibility. But I can also say, under my modal scope, contradictions can exist, and that would be a logical impossibility. So under my modal scope, both those things are possible. But in a logical modal scope, only one of them is possible. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say under a logical modal scope, metaphysical change is impossible, but some metaphysical possible things can occur.
Okay. Hold on, wait. Hey yo, is somebody like else recording other than this power bot? I need
Bro,
like
I
to get a
can't hear
recording.
shit, bro. Hold on, I'm finna go on my PC. I can't.
Okay, but hold on. Wait, give me a sec. Fuck. Shit, bro.
I'm back.
Okay, there we go.
All right. So
So
what was
anyways,
your me saying that specifically metaphysical change is impossible, but granting the possibility of having some other metaphysical possibilities occur?
okay, so basically, to assert this, there would not necessarily be a contradiction within the metaphysics itself. So,
No, within
for
metaphysical
example,
change, like in general.
yeah, okay, yeah, I'm talking about like the metaphysical part in itself. So, for example, like the principle of like this contradiction would basically express the metaphysical and logical opposition between like its being. When I say its being, I mean like its existence and essence to its said negation. So necessarily, like a metaphysical
Essence.
possibility,
Wait, what's essence?
what's essence, like your nature,
Wait, no, I mean like what's nature though? What are you talking about?
nature, like for
Like
example, like
what's essence are you
existence.
talking about? Are you trying to like describe like
Yes,
what it means to be metaphysically impossible or like possible?
I'm ta- I mean, yeah, you could go like upon that, but necessarily like when I say being, I'm just referring to like as things ontology, which would like correlate to Allah, right?
Okay. Continue your
Yeah.
argument.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. So that necessarily applies. So if a metaphysical, like if a contradiction or a trivialistic term within like a metaphysical possibility, that would necessarily just express the metaphysical and logical opposition between its like being and its like actual negation, right? So necessarily a metaphysical possibility like for example a state of affairs would not necessarily be determined simply just by the absence of a contradiction in these said propositions used to describe it, so necessarily there's still no contradictions.
Bro, it seems like you're saying like a bunch of word salad instead of actually attacking the fact that there's a contradiction behind metaphysical change. And yes, there
Okay,
is a
no, I'm
contradiction
not.
behind metaphysical change. You want me to explain what it is? Okay, metaphysical change is basically just adding something's spatiotemporal properties changing, right?
uh Necessarily, yeah, under like
Okay.
necessarily. Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, that's the contradiction. Okay, I'm just gonna explain why that's ever happen, and I can explain why ever happen no matter what. That's the contradiction. That's specific because that would entail change occurring without time and without time. So you're trying to say there can be change without change, which would be a logical contradiction. Therefore, that can never happen. Therefore, time can never be created. Therefore, metaphysical change is false. If you want, the laws of logic govern everything. You can, but I'm going under the presupposition that they do
Oh,
govern
okay.
everything.
Oh, okay, wait, so do you know that like what you said it can't exist under coherency in itself, but you know like that definition would like entail pair consistency, right?
What's pair consistency? I've never heard of that ever.
Pair consistency. Okay, so pair
Yeah.
consistency just basically says that coherence is possible like without consistency.
Coherence is possible without consistency. Is
Yeah,
that trying to say
you
something
can
can
search it
happen
up if
without
you
it being
like.
consistent? Is that what you're trying to say?
Necessarily, yeah. So
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
I
so
agree something can
necessarily
happen
like
without it being consistent, but like that's not that's not what I'm arguing. If something okay, I'm not trying to say that it's not consistent that metaphysical change cannot happen. I'm trying to say that it's impossible. There's a difference between trying to say, oh, it's not consistent and it's impossible.
yeah, okay, so the definition like argument you gave just only like kind of falls under like upon like its consistency, because once again like yeah
That's not
obviously
consistency.
um no, yeah, okay, listen, so obviously like a cause happening like without a cause and shit, yeah, okay, that's like entirely inconsistent, am I correct? So
No, that would
necessarily
can just never happen. Or no, my bad. Something occurring or change happening without change would just be entirely impossible and could never happen.
okay, yeah, so necessarily by this that kind of still entails per consistency, because it like that's the inference, right? It just permits the inference from this said consistent like inconsistent information like, without trivialistic terms. When I say trivialistic terms, I mean contradictory terms and shit.
Bro, can you just bro? You say like the biggest words like in conjunction. It's like so like bro, like how is
I'm not
anybody supposed to like
okay, my bad,
understand
okay, I'm sorry, okay, bro, I'm sorry.
that?
But to be honest, I think we're at like the fuck. I think we're at like an impasse right now. You just want to conclude.
Uh, no, I just want to hear like what you just said like again because I didn't really like I kind of like dozed
Okay,
off
so
because you just said like 1,000. like in a
Okay,
row. It just
so
made me stop listening.
basically, yeah. So basically, what I said about this is that that like argument would still entail like consistency, right? Because
Doesn't.
a said inference, yeah. Okay, so like a said inference from this, basically just permits like the said inference from inconsistent information with like without trivialistic terms, right? So once again, if you like want some basis for what I mean by trivialistic, I just mean
Yeah.
something like being contradictory, right?
Yeah, bro.
So,
Okay, what do you like? What's the entailment of your argument? Like, what are you saying, bro? Like, how are you gonna debunk what I said? How it's a contradiction? Are you
yeah.
trying to
Okay,
say that
so all I'm
what
saying,
I like my argument is saying that it's not consistent, or like what?
uh no, that's not like like entirely what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say like the inference I gave, or like the main inference for like a metaphysical possibility, basically just permits that said inference from like inconsistent information, which can still be coherent under like the idea of like metaphysical possibilities, because that's like what like
Bro,
that's
okay,
like
are
what's
you trying to
applied
say
here.
that metaphysical change can't happen under the metaphysical motoscope?
Yeah, necessarily.
Yeah, okay, so why would motoscope logical motoscope?
Trump over it's
When
not
I say that
necessarily.
I mean like why would we take metaphysical possibilities over logical possibilities? Because that would be logically impossible.
Okay, so necessarily, like this metaphysical modal scope, it's like not going against like logic in
Yes,
this
it
sense.
is.
So no, it's not, because metaphysics is still under like logic.
No.
So
Okay. That specific thing is right because if I say and I prove to you that it's a contradiction under logical terms, physical change occurring like would be a contradiction, right? And you say, okay, well, going under metaphysical laws in the metaphysical motoscope, it would be possible. Then that is directly logical motoscope.
um, I think I'm probably just gonna go circular, bro.
You think you're gonna go circular?
Yeah, necessarily, because I don't think really have any more refutes. If I just go circular, then I think I'm just gonna lose.
So, do you have like any other points you want to bring up, or like?
None else, unless you want to debate on like the statements within the Quran.
I mean, the argument I use against like any god is just like they claim that God created time, and I think that that's impossible. So, I just argue that.
Oh yeah, okay. So you want to conclude now?
I mean, do you think that
Because I
you
don't
won
think
that?
like, I mean, to be honest, I can't say no right now. Like I'll just wait for like a judgment shit.
Okay. My conclusion is that basically, I said that creating time without time in the first place would just be a contradiction, or creating time in general would just be a contradiction because that would entail change without change. That's a logical contradiction. He tried to bring up metaphysical change, which was aspatio-temporal things changing. I already explained why that would be logically contradictory, and I brought up many times how cool contradictions, or my bad, the laws of logic would just apply to everything. He didn't really want to argue about that. He didn't really want to contend that at all, so we kind of just went with it. And then he said, under a metaphysical standpoint and under a metaphysical view, it would be possible for metaphysical change to occur, and it wouldn't violate the laws of logic. I contended that by saying it would, because if I prove that something is logically impossible, and he says that that thing is metaphysically impossible, then that would be saying that something can happen metaphysically that cannot happen, would be directly violating the laws of logic and would make the metaphysical motoscope go directly against the logical motoscope. Uh, Therefore, I debunked it being metaphysically, or my bad, I debunked it being logically possible, which he tried to posit by saying that it's metaphysically possible. And yeah, so and then you can send that to whoever. Okay.
I don't think anyone is here to judge. I'll probably like maybe give a conclusion to somebody else. Maybe if they join VC or something.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Anyways, GG's, bro.
Alright, bro, it's fine.
See ya.